Продовжуємо засідання. Прошу запросити Прохорова
Let us
Олександра
continue the
Олександровича.
session. Please invite Prokhorov Oleksandr Oleksandrovych.
Доброго дня.
Good afternoon.
Розглядається питання щодо відповідності
We shall consider the issue whether the candidate to the judge's position at the Hague Court, Prokhorov Oleksandr Oleksandrovych, is compliant with the criteria of the competition. The PCIe members are present. Names follow. Mary K. Butler and Norman Oz joining us by video. The HQCJ members are present. Names follow.
Ярослав Дух, Роман Кидесюк, Надія Кабецька, Ігор Кушнір, Руслан Мельник, Олексій, Андрій Пасічник, Роман Сабадаш, Сергій Чумак, Галина Шевчук. Ви маєте право заявляти відвід,
You
заявляти
have the
клопотання
right to make recusals, make motions, voice your thoughts and objections, and challenge the Commission's decisions. Do you have any recusals or motions? No, I don't.
Доповідачем цього
The
питання
rapporteur in this case is myself. I will announce a brief report. The candidate, Prokhorov Oleksandr Oleksandrovych, approached the Commission with a request to admit him to the participation in the aforementioned competition as the person compliant with the requirements of Clause 3, Part 2, Article 7 of the Law of Ukraine on the Hague Court, and to admit him to the qualification test. The candidates scored 51.8 points in cognitive ability, 40 points in the history of Ukrainian statehood, and 134 points in law and courts specialty. The practical assignment, 129.5 points. In 2007, the candidate graduated from Yaroslav Mudry National Law Academy and earned his degree in law and got his qualification of a lawyer, attorney's license from 2011. From 2024 to 2025, the candidate was a legal counselor at an LLC BMU. In the past, he worked as the managing partner, as an attorney, as a legal counselor, and prosecutor, assistant to the prosecutor. The candidate has submitted his declaration of family ties, integrity declaration, and declaration of the candidate to the judge's position. This is basic information. Would you like to contribute anything? So the BMU LLC was my main workplace, but the rest of the information is correct. All right. Now over to Mr. Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Andrei. Yes, my name is Robert Broekhuis. Okay. Maybe you first can explain to us why you believe that you have the proper qualifications to become a Hague judge.
Thank you for this question. So I have dealt with different areas of law in my activities, criminal law, pre-trial. I have participated in different stages of legal proceedings, and I have a criminal case where I defend the party. In a case of embezzlement, as of now, the pre-trial is ongoing and I cannot declare any other information. There are some issues about the connection, and the interpreter has a hard time hearing what the candidate is saying.
Okay. Maybe you have to speak a bit closer to the microphone because the translator had difficulties to hear you. Yes?
І при відповіді натискайте кнопку. У вас там мікрофон має червоним
Yeah,
загорітись.
and please press the button.
Мікрофон трохи переклад стає.
Ну і прохання не повільніше трошки говорити,
Добре,
враховуючи, що є необхідність
And-
в перекладі.
Please speak slowly and accurately.
Okay. Well, when I listen to you, then you say, I have the qualifications because I have done quite a substantial amount of law in my career, and I'm presently defending someone who is a subject of a criminal case. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
Так, все вірно. Я також здійснюю захист у кримінальних провадженнях протягом останніх років. Окрім того, я зазначив про те, що в мене на даний час в провадженні є одна кримінальна.
No translation. No. I'm just-
Зараз подивимося.
Російський канал чути.
Testing. Connectivity issues.
Будь ласка,
Oh, there we go.
Спочатку.
Maybe you can
Спочатку.
say again what you wanted to say.
Добре, так. Я зазначив про те, що в мене є
So, as I said,
кримінальні справи, тобто
I do have
здійснюю захист у кримінальних провадженнях.
cases.
Окрім інших видів
I
судочинства,
defend
в мене
parties in
наразі
criminal
судове
cases,
провадження є
and
одне
currently,
кримінальне
at this
провадження,
time, I have one criminal
справа щодо
case
кримінальних корупційних правопорушень. Це
regarding
зловживання
corruption
вживання службового
and, in particular, embezzlement and abuse of power.
Okay. If I'm well informed, you have applied to become a NABU detective at a certain moment, and you have also applied to become a SBI investigator, and you have also applied, if I'm not mistaken, at some moment to become a SAPO prosecutor, and you have applied to become a local court judge. And I believe you also applied, or presently are applying to become a judge in the Court of Appeal. So when I see that, I'm also wondering why you have real motivation to become a judge, because it looks as if you are applying for everything that is available.
Дякую за запитання. Що
Thank you
стосується
for this
конкурсів
question.
на посади
So regarding competitions to NABU, DBR, SAPO, it was in 2017. It was a long time ago, and many things have changed since then. My motivation has shifted. I'm no longer interested in these positions. Regarding the judicial competitions, in 2023, I ran for a local court judge position. Now I passed the qualification test and I'm admitted to the interview. And regarding the competition, well, the other judicial competition, because the deadlines with the other competition were not known, I decided to submit my documents there. And throughout 2025, I ran in the competition for the judges' positions in the Court of Appeal. And the Hague Court is appealing to me in terms of its specialization. Criminal cases, corruption-related cases, now civil cases, practices being developed, and administrative law in the part of sanctions. Thank you.
Okay, but in what I understand is that your application for the Court of Appeal position is for the Court of Appeal, the civil side, the civil specialization in the Court of Appeal. So that looks as if you're, with respect to the Court of Appeal, are more interested in civil cases than in criminal cases.
Дякую за запитання. Я поясню.
Thank you for this question. I'll explain. So at the time when I submitted my documents, I could choose between the specialties criminal or civil. At that time, I worked more with the commercial law. And later on, in case judge is appointed, they can also select the specialty. And in 2023, I decided that I would prepare my civil specialty.
But the Court of Appeal application, is that still running that you have done? Because there, I believe you have the civil specialization.
Дякую за запитання. Я поясню.
Thank you for this question. Yes, this is an ongoing competition. I'm still a participant of it. But I ran for a specific Court of Appeal, and regarding the specialization and the qualification test, in fact, the local court judge position doesn't have a specialty. The other competition that is still ongoing.
Okay. So you have not applied for civil specialization in the Court of Appeal, is that what you say?
Так, я подавав заявку саме для
Yes, I submitted my application to run in the competition for civil specialization in the Court of Appeal. Because you need to change a specialty in order to sit your qualification test.
Okay. You're quite a long time a lawyer. Can you tell me how many cases you handle per year approximately?
Дякую за питання. Так важко порахувати
Thank you.
протягом останніх років.
So it's hard to calculate. Over the recent years, I also provided services pro bono, and I had civil cases, criminal cases, administrative cases, maybe 30 to 40 cases per year. I didn't make it a point to calculate them. So over the recent years, like this, 30 to 40 cases per year.
30 to 40 cases per year. And is that only for individuals or also for companies?
Дякую за запитання. Так, також я працював з юридичними.
Yes, I worked with legal entities too, companies, LLCs. Yes, and mostly in commercial law.
In commercial law. So for commercial activities of companies and individuals? Yes. So can you give an example? What kind of activity? Big companies, small companies, bakery, butcher, tire factory. What kind of activity?
Дякую за запитання. Ну, серед останніх справ, які ще слухаються.
Well, from the recent cases heard in the commercial court, I could cite claims regarding the ownership titles, lifting of arrests, financial activities, claims regarding deeming the deals unlawful. So these were companies, I would call them medium size companies.
Medium size, and what is that? Between 20 and 100 people working there?
Ні, я більше вираховую, напевно, з обігів.
I'm thinking about their turnovers. So the employees may be a few, just an accountant, a lawyer, a director. That's it.
Okay, smaller companies. And you say 30 to 40 cases per year. Corporate law, so mainly entities, I guess, or is it mainly individuals where you would be acting for?
Я поясню, як я зазначав, я також співпрацюю з центром надання безоплатної правничої допомоги.
Also provide pro bono services for a law firm. I have a lot of clients, private individuals from that firm, and I have fewer cases regarding legal entities. But mostly, yes, I do work with private individuals.
And what kind of law would you do for them then? What kind of disputes would that be?
Це кримінальне провадження.
Criminal law.
Захист кримінальних проваджень.
I defend individuals in criminal cases.
So do I understand that the majority of your practice is criminal law and not corporate law?
Так, все вірно. Просто певна
Yes, this is
частка є.
correct. So just there is a share of commercial law too in my practice.
I just noted down that you said that you had 30 to 40 cases, mainly corporate law, but I understand that's different.
Я перепрошую, можливо, невірно відповів. Я говорив,
So I may have made a mistake.
30-40 справ на рік.
30 to 40 cases per year, and some of them relate to commercial law, and most cases relate to criminal law.
Okay. And what kind of cases would that be? The criminal cases?
Ну, на даний час це переважно справи
So currently they pertain to general criminal law, as we call them, then treason, theft, hooliganism, defense of other criminals in drug trafficking.
So no corruption.
Як зазначив, одне є кримінальне.
As I said, one criminal case is corruption-related, embezzlement and abuse of power, committed by a group of persons, and I defend one of them.
If someone comes to you, let's start with a company. What would you charge for your work?
Ну, вартість послуг визначається індивідуально, в залежності від складності справи.
I set them case by case, depending on the complexity. If it is for a company, I could make it 10 to 20,000 hryvnias, depending on the amount of work, depending on the amount of time, and depending on the complexity of the claim that needs to be prepared.
And can it not be more than 10 or 20,000 hryvnias?
Так, безумовно, може бути більше 20,
Yes,
зокрема.
my services could cost more than 20,000. I had a client where we had a few interrelated cases and I needed to represent him in different instances. 40,000 hryvnia was paid after the completion of works in accordance with the satisfaction note.
And what would you be charging in the criminal cases you're handling?
Як і зазначав, у кримінальних справах я працюю
So,
серед
as I
центру
said,
безоплатної
criminal cases, I do them pro bono. I get those cases from the law firm, and I do them pro bono.
And you do not charge for your criminal work.
Дякую за питання. Я поясню. Там
Thank you for your question. So,
залучення з боку держави, потім держава
services are provided. I provide the services, and then the state compensates me the cost of the service.
сплачує за виконану роботу.
So you get some money from the state.
Yes, так.
Yes.
Так.
So you will, and how much is that per case?
Небагато.
Not too much. I need to check it up.
And the reason I'm asking all of this is that when I look at your income, and I understand that in 2016, your total family income was 25,450 hryvnias per year, which is 2,118 per month. Which seems to be a very small amount for someone who's a long time a lawyer. They explain why you are earning such a small amount with your activities.
Дякую за питання.
Thank you for this question. So, in that time, yes, indeed, the income was like this and prices were much lower. And what I'm saying about the free legal aid center and my cases for legal entities, that happened in the recent years. Before, I really earned little income.
Yeah, when I look at that, I do also sometimes criminal defense work. I try always to sell my services because otherwise I don't have an income. And when I look at these figures, I would think either you don't have cases that you can charge on, or you have not declared all your income. Because if you have 30 to 40 cases with a part, let's say commercial work, you would always earn more than 25,000 hryvnias per year.
Дякую за запитання. Як я вже
Thank you for
пояснював,
this question. As I explained, 30-40 cases per year, this is a number regarding the recent years, because you asked me about the recent year. In 2016, and I cannot give you an exact number of cases per year. I'm not ready to provide this information, but I obviously had fewer cases than now per year.
And in 2018,
так само в 2018 році.
Same. In 2018, I didn't have an extensive practice. I didn't cooperate with the free legal aid center. I didn't have as many clients as now.
what I've noted down here is that in 2018 you had an income of 11,000 hryvnias for a full year, which I believe something like $220. $250 maybe.
Дякую за питання. Так, дійсно, згідно з
Thank you
даними.
for this question. Yes, indeed. According to the statistics, the income was like this. I didn't have too many activities. In September, I registered the law firm and started concluding contracts.
So you didn't have any clients in that period. Is that what you say?
Ні, вказаний період у мене був клієнт, у мене був укладений договір.
I did have a client. I concluded a contract in that period, but we concluded it in September or October 2018.
Тобто після реєстрації адвокатського бюро.
So after the law bureau was registered.
And in later years, how did it go with your income? Let's say last year, the year before last year, or 2023 and 2022.
Дякую за питання. Минулі роки
Thank you for
дохід
this
був
question.
більший.
In the recent years, my income was higher.
Наприклад, у 22-му році там
In 2022, 227, then 513 or 809,000. It was thanks to my cases with legal entities, commercial law.
But then let's say you earned 200,000, 250,000 hryvnias. Is that what you say?
Тут 227, перепрошую, погано.
227,000. 227,000.
That's, let's say, approximately $4,000, $4.5, maybe $5,000. And you earned that mainly with your corporate work.
Так, це була адвокатська діяльність.
Yes, these were exclusively attorneys' activities.
Yeah, what I'm wondering when I listen to you is, if you take what you say, I'm thinking, how can you say we have, let's say, extensive experience and knowledge in criminal law that would qualify you to become a hard judge? Because if you look at your income, what you see is that income is so low that you can hardly expect that you have done really quite a number of criminal cases. And that when it went better, you mainly earned your income with commercial cases. They're limited. So, of course, I have a feeling that if I listen to you, that in fact you do not have the experience that you say that you have that is necessary to do this job.
Я можливо не зрозумів питання. Питання в чому? Чи є в мене досвід?
So what is your question? Do I have experience necessary to be the head court judge?
Yes.
Ні, у мене є досвід, безумовно, кримінальних провадженнях.
I do have experience in criminal proceedings,
But that is not shown by your income.
Оскільки дохід отримується за рахунок з безоплатної
because I get income from pro bono legal aid, and I have a contract signed with the law firm, with the legal entity, and in criminal cases, I provide services on behalf of that law firm, and the whole amount of value is comes to the bank accounts of the law firm.
And then it doesn't pay that on to you. Because that's what your law firm, isn't it?
Так, це моя фірма, але тут відображається мої
This is my law firm, but here I'm talking about my income as a physical private individual. So the costs paid by the law firm arrives to my attorney's firm, and then I pay salaries. I spend money on rent, some additional expenses, and then I get money as dividends. And in this income, you may not see them because they get paid to the attorney's firm.
How many lawyers work in your attorney's firm?
Ні, виключно я один.
Only me.
Sorry?
Only me.
Я один.
Okay. And that means that all the income that comes in your firm is for you, right? And the only thing you deduct is your cost.
В цілому так, за врахуванням
In
податків.
general, yes. If we exclude taxes, we first pay the salary and then the money remain on the account, but I cannot automatically withdraw them from the account. I can only withdraw them as dividends. So first I have to pay the taxes and then withdraw the other funds as dividends. But of course I have to pay for the rental, other payments, security, internet, etc.
Yeah, I understand how that works. I have a law firm too, but the point is that having a law firm is not an explanation why you're not making any income from your cases. And still, I have difficulties to see that you have generated income from your criminal work. It shows that indeed you are having experience that is needed to become a hung judge.
Дякую за питання. Ну, мені
Thank
конкретно
you
не
for
ставилось.
the question. I was not asked specifically to confirm my income from handling criminal cases because the funds, the payments for me working on criminal cases are transferred to the account of the law bureau, and I, as an individual, do not get it in the fund.
If I look at your income is very low. How were you able to live from your income?
Ну, про які періоди йде мова?
What kind of period are you talking about? The latest period starting from 2018, 2019? I guess it's a sufficient income.
Well, to start with 2016, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let's have a look. Your monthly income would be 2,000 hryvnias, which seems to be not enough to live on. In 2017, your monthly family income would have been 6,000 hryvnias per month. In 2018, 4,800 hryvnias per month. And 2019, 17,000 hryvnias per month. 2020, 19,000 hryvnias per month. The whole amount that are really, really small. And then, of course, when I listen to you with all the cases you say that you had, and the commercial work and your criminal cases, yeah, the idea that comes up with me is that you have not been declaring all your income.
Дякую за запитання. Я дійсно погоджуюсь,
Thank you for the question. I do agree that my income in 2015, 2016 were not significant. I didn't have a lot of clients, but I would like to point out that in 2019 it was almost 17,000, 18,000 revenue a month. It is sufficient. And in 2016, 17, I didn't have the law bureau and the activity I'm currently talking about. So what I'm telling about the income, these are the events of the last 5-6 years. And the years before that, I acknowledge that there was no significant activity and no significant income.
But can you follow my thinking that either you don't have the experience you say you have because you are unable to show that you indeed handled all those cases that you said that you handled, or those cases should have, let's say, generate much more income, which means that you did not did not declare all your income. That's a bit why I'm struggling if I look at all of this.
Дякую за питання.
Thank you for the question. As I indicated, and I will repeat, in 2015, 2016, I didn't have a huge income, but I didn't have the same activity as now. The income I am telling about appeared after 2018, after the law bureau appeared, and starting from 2019, the income was sufficient, and it corresponds to the data of the tax inspectorate. And the funds from dealing with criminal proceedings are not reflected in my tax declaration because these are funds of the law firm.
But how were you able to live then from 2015 until 2018? How did you pay your rent and your groceries and your petrol and your drinks and anything?
Дякую за питання. Якщо по
Thank
рокам
you for the question. If we look at the years 2015, 2016, I still lived with my parents at their premises, and then I had premises that were provided free of charge by the friends of my parents. As to the food, drinks, it was enough for me. My parents helped, as I explained to the public council. I didn't have a vehicle, I didn't have expenditures for fuel. I only bought a vehicle in 2021.
Yes. You have been making declarations for the different competitions. And we have noted there are quite some inaccuracies in those declarations. And I think you are aware of those, that there were inaccurate declarations. Can you tell us what inaccuracies exist and why you made those inaccurate declarations?
Дякую за питання. Там було
Thank you for
декілька
the question. There were several mistakes. If we started talking about the vehicle, yes, indeed, I mistakenly indicated a wrong value of a vehicle. I acknowledge that the data indicated in the Unified State Register corresponds to the reality. As to other mistakes, yes, it's true that I, by mistake, mentioned in my declaration the wrong value of a residential house and land plot. According to the contract, there are separate values of house and land plot, but in my declaration from 2016, are you talking about this specifically? Because there were several different mistakes mentioned in the requests of the public council.
Yes, for instance, you declared, I believe, for a real estate residential building a value of 25,000 hryvnias, which is something like $500. For a piece of land, 32,000 hryvnias, $500. And I believe that the value of those houses and this land plot is a lot higher. That's correct. So that was a mistake.
Там поясню, там дещо не такі ціни.
I will explain the figures are a little bit different. According to the sale and purchase agreement, the overall value of two objects is 48,000 approximately, and together the value according the assessment is 48,300 hryvnias, and there was not a land plot indicated separately. I provided a copy of that contract, and I provided an explanation upon the request of the public counsel.
Thank you. I think I've finished my question. John? No? Mary? Norman? Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Нам буде кілька запитань.
I will have several questions.
Частину питань, які
Most of the questions that I wanted to ask have already been asked. There were some other questions related to the vehicle and the filling in of declaration, but basically there were no grave violations there, and the candidate has answered. I think that to save time, I will not repeat the same questions. If other members have such questions or the candidate wants to comment, we will allow to return to those matters. But I would like to refer to the questions that were first asked by Mr. Robert. For me, it's still not quite clear what's your motivation. You participated in many selections before that, well, sufficient number of selections, and it's not a typical situation. We don't have a lot of candidates who try to get selected to NABU, SAPO, and other law enforcement and also courts. Could you please very concisely tell us why the hack? Thank you for the question. To be concise, my motivation was that the Anti-Corruption Court is a specialist court which administers justice in relation to criminal corruption offenses and considers cases related to unlawful benefits. I prefer the specialization of this court, and it's something which interests me. It contributes to the improvement of qualification of judges, and I think that the activities of the hack are valuable for our society and country. Let's clarify. Two theses were expressed. First, you like the specialization, you as a lawyer, if I understand correctly. If not, please clarify. And the second thesis was that the hack considers cases of public importance, but these are two different motivations. First is what you like, and second is the importance for the society. Well, first of all, I like the specialization of the court. I view it as a development of my professional okay, and why did you reject the possibility to be hired by NABU? NABU works on similar cases. Before that, you tried to get into NABU. Thank you for the question. I did participate in the selection to NABU, but it was, if I'm not mistaken, 2017, and I failed to pass the interview because back then specialists in operative activities were hired, and the preference was given to them. I didn't ask you about whether you passed or not. You explained that you're interested in this area of legal practice, but this area of legal practice is also the area of other law enforcement authorities you applied to. So why are you choosing the hack now and not apply for the second time to NABU? They announce competitions quite often. I can say it on the news. If I'm not mistaken, they currently have a selection and you can apply. Why don't you join this area not as a judge? Thank you, but I prefer the position of a judge. It was my experience. I tried and I failed, and I don't think it's necessary to return to it. And moreover, over the last years, I've been working as an attorney in courts, so it doesn't it mean that you are not resolved enough? No, it doesn't mean it. I participated in several selection procedures, and it shows that I currently want to become a judge. All right.
Скажіть, будь ласка, ви от
Tell us, please, did you imagine if you get appointed to the position of a head judge, and what biggest challenges might emerge? What are you afraid of? What are you thinking about? What you should be ready to? Well, first of all, I have to get ready to administering justice in general, because I do not have such experience. As to biggest challenges, I think it's the complexity of cases, huge volumes of materials, and since the suspects are public officials, public figures, the consideration of cases can be complicated as well. And why should the Commission recommend you? What previous experience in your life shows that you are ready to those challenges? Well, in general, being involved in criminal proceedings, court cases, there were enough of them. I meant like the challenges you named yourself, the complexity of cases and the individuals that will be parties to proceedings. So you named some challenges, and what previous professional activities from your life can show that you are ready to those specific challenges. We understand that you are not a practicing judge, so you cannot be 100% ready, but at least some facts that will show that you will be able to deal with those challenges. Well, I can only name the criminal proceedings in which I handled. It was one related to the appropriation of property and misuse of powers and abuse of powers, and there is a certain structure of defense. I am also currently working on a case related to high treason, and it will be significant for someone's life because the punishment is huge for such a violation. I also am a defense attorney in relation to a case with approximately 15 volumes of materials, and so we have to look at the subjective side and the motives. So these are examples. Have you felt in your professional activities any kind of pressure on yourself to make certain decisions or avoid making such decisions? No, never. All the persons involved in the process are tolerant. Well, what's the relation with the possible and potential pressure? Never. I never felt the pressure in that.
Скажіть, будь ласка,
All right.
який у вас
Tell us, please,
обліку як військовозобов'язаного?
what's your current status as a person of an age which can be drafted? I am currently able to serve in the rare units. So you do not have a deferment. I do a deferment, a temporary exemption. If it's not a medical reason, can you inform us
Добре. А коли ви
of
почали там
it.
навчатись?
Yes, because I am studying at the
Де саме?
educational institution. Which one? Kryvyi Rih National University. What's the specialty? In management. I have a previous degree.
З чим пов'язано такий вибір?
What motivated your decision? You're a lawyer, you practice law, you participate in selection procedures, and you want to get a position of a legal nature, and you select an academic area which is completely different. I will explain. I have a client who is an associate professor of that university. So we talked, and he suggested for me to enroll. And back then, it was not so popular, and the professors themselves were suggesting such an option. And in Kryvyi Rih National University, there was no legal courses options. So first in 2024, I failed the test and couldn't enroll, and later I did. All right. So the choice of the area of academic activities is based on the suggestion of the person you know. Yes. Why? Why do you need this PhD course, PhD studies? It's interesting. No, the idea is interesting. It would be interesting to defend a thesis. And what topic do you have? Economic mechanism to manage safety of an enterprise to preserve its economic safety. There had to be a legal aspect, but this academic council changed the context. But for now, it's on the early stages. All right. And you said that you tried to apply to PhD training in 2024 and you managed later. But why didn't you try before? In 2019, in 2020? I don't know. There was a specific suggestion. But it means a lot of job. There were candidates here who defended thesis, and it's not just a few hours to invest. We're talking about months and years. Yeah, I understand it. Okay. Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Dear colleagues, please. A brief comment. Do you know that on the 1st of August 2025, Kryvyi Rih Regional Department of Interior was trying to find you and establish the circumstances of violating the legislation related to military conscription? Is the decision on PhD studies related to that? Not, of course. I discovered these circumstances exactly when I was applying for PhD studies, and that year, 2025, we had to take the test in methods of scientific research, and so I was registered even before I learned about the circumstances of search, and so I provided the response to the commission that I paid visits to police departments within my activities, and there were no notices served to me. I learned about it when I was informed by the selection commission. Thank you for giving me the floor. I'm Melnik, commission member. I wanted to clarify what were the circumstances of the purchase of the vehicle in 2021. You bought a vehicle using I bought the vehicle using the dividends, and the parents also partially provide the funds. Initially, the idea was to buy it for loan, but when parents learned about it, they offered to cover the other part with their own funds. Well, let's calculate. You indicated 201,000 hryvnias. If I may, there was a mistake. I provided explanations to the commission. The real value was 257 according to the data in the register. When I declared, unfortunately, it was 2023, and I applied to get a position of a judge in the Court of Appeal. So I filed the declaration in a rush, and by mistake, I didn't take my own sales agreement, but the previous one of the previous owner. But if I'm not mistaken, you made the same mistake in the other declarations. Yes, it happened automatically. I only rectified the mistake when I learned about the discrepancy. All right, I want to ask about a different thing then. I hope then that you will avoid the same mistake in future declarations. Another question. So 257,000 is the cost of the vehicle. What part of this sum is yours, and what part was provided by the parents? Well, almost the whole sum was from dividends, and the rest was provided by my parents. I was trying to reflect the movement of dividends. When did you receive the dividends? Throughout 2019, 2020. So we had to file the reporting documents, and then we could obtain the the dividends in the bank. Again, the period of accumulation of dividends, 2019, 2020.
Тобто саме цей період
Так. І решта там трохи не вистачало, що я спочатку спланував
All right.
просто взяти її в кредит, покласти менше з власних
I first wanted to take a loan, but then my parents suggested to cover the difference.
Зрозуміло. Тобто ви накопичили.
All right, so you accumulated the dividends. So from what you said, as of end of 2020, you accumulated certain sum. Yes. So 200,000, around 200,000. It was withdrawn in the beginning of 2021 because the dividends for the last quarter of 2020 were withdrawn in 2021. When exactly? The first month of 2021. So in the first month. Clear. I would withdraw the dividends for a quarter, so once in a quarter. So within 2019-2020, you withdrew 200,000 as dividends, and you used these funds to buy a vehicle, plus what my parents added, yes. So you could save these dividends in the amount of 200,000 over 2 years. Yes, 200,000 over 2 years, and you used it to buy the vehicle. And that's nothing non-typical here, but what's non-unusual? In the declarations that we can see, they are for 2016, 17, 24, 22. No declaration indicates monetary assets. What does it say? That at the end of the reporting period, you never have remaining sums. At least we can see that from your declarations. And the only period when you had accumulated certain assets is the period from 2019 till 2020. So before that and after that, you never had any sums remaining in your accounts at the end of the reporting period. Tell us, please, how can it be explained? Why? as you indicated, your professional activities were more successful over the recent years, and you could make some savings. And that same period, unfortunately, we cannot track it because you were not submitting declarations over that period. Why? After that, you were not withdrawing the dividends? I did, but you were not accumulating such sums. And the dividends were bigger in 2021, 2022. No, they were decreasing if you look at the withdrawal of dividends. In 2019, 2020, I had contracts and there were payments to the accounts. So the answer is simple. You didn't manage to accumulate anything because the sums of dividends were significantly lower than in 2019, 2020. Yes, thank you. Роман? Yes, let's go back to your PhD studies. Remind me, please, the code of your specialty and the title, management or business administration. Well, the faculty is called finance and business. And the specialty is business. You study during the day, yes, but it's online. And what kind of courses did you follow this semester? Well, foreign language, out of the main disciplines, only economic reasoning of managerial decisions. That's the only specialization. There are overall 20 people in this PhD course, and I follow this discipline with another candidate. There are modern methods. No, I have the modern methods right now. And organization and implementation of research. Could you recall something from that discipline? Well, compiling a plan, etc. I looked at your schedule. It takes quite a big share of your day. Let me finish, please. You, for example, in December, there was first, second, and fourth classes, so 4 classes a day. Then in January, there were 2 classes a day, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of portion of the day. How do you find the time to participate in court hearings?
In December, I didn't have lessons in January either. Now, the first semester was hard, I admit that. But of course, I prioritize the participation in court hearings. So you had a lesson, but at the time you were in court. And what is your type of courses called? Daytime courses, right? And do you know what the what the daytime courses mean? It means that you do not work and you get a scholarship, right? So you get a scholarship and you work simultaneously. Well, in fact, yes. And your income, could it remain stable because you did not participate in the court sessions because of the courses? Well, and it actually coincided, and how could we find the information about it? So Thursday in the afternoon, you've got court hearings. So you are a student, you're receiving daytime courses, but at the same time, you are working actively. All days are different. On some days I'm free, I don't have court hearings, I study. On other days I mostly work. Okay, thank you. Colleagues, Alexander, good afternoon. I would like to come back to the issue of your finances and talk math. Let's take 2018. So you started showing your dividends and sale of a car. That is the last year when you had little income. What do we have here? So you declared 14,000, right? Or how much was it?
14820.
Yeah, so more than 14,000. And your wife earned 45,000, but in fact it was 60 before taxation, around 42 stays. If we take the subsistence minimum, we're not talking about real expenses of a 3-person family with a teenager, 2 working adults and 1 child, a teenager. So subsistence minimum at that year was 65,000 per year. It was a minimum. And you've got 62, 67. No, it's not 67, it's 62. And then that is before taxation. And if we take real expenses that the State Statistics Service calculates, in 2018, in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, real expenses were 84,000 per 1 person. And this is an official data, official statistics from State Statistics Service. And that is calculated after the information is collected per oblast. More than 80,000 per 1 person per year. So even if we take subsistence minimum, it's not enough. It's clearly not enough. That's what Robert said. And yes, indeed, we may have doubts that you just understated your income. You're an attorney, you've got cases going, and 14,000 per year, it looks somewhat suspicious. And even if you're saying that it was enough for your existence, but I mean, subsistence minimum is higher. So no explanations. I mean, I didn't work as intensely. I'm not talking about your work and its intensity. I'm saying that this money is clearly not enough for 2 working adults and 1 child. Our parents would assist us at certain periods, and we managed to live on what we had. Well, okay, I got it. Then 2020, before you purchased a car, you purchased it in February 2021, February 25th, 2021. So in 2021, you've got your dividends 30,000 in February, and then you purchase a car. In 2020, you've got 180,000 before taxation. 118,000 were dividends that you saved for your car. So you've got 50,000 for your family of 3 people, and subsistence minimum is 6,000 per month. So it's more than 70,000 per year. And we understand that in Kryvyi Rih, with a teenager of 10 years old, it's impossible to live on a subsistence minimum. So you got 50,000. You also save money for a car. you've got 50,000 and the subsistence minimum is 75,000.
Додаткових доходів в мене не було.
Я ж просто
I didn't have any additional income. I'm just talking math.
Ви ж самі сказали, що всі
As you said yourself, all the dividends cover the car. And after we reduce the dividends, we've got your income.
Там на квартал 11 тисяч.
So 11,000 per quarter, 51,000 is the general sum, and per quarter before taxation, 14,000 or 11,000, about 4,000 per month. It just math is not good here. Even if you say that you lived on a tight budget and you economized, so you insist on saying that you declared all your income. Okay, yes, and I've got no more questions. Colleagues, no other questions? PCIe members, any other questions?
No, I don't think so, Mr. Chair.
Добре. Отже, всі питання
Okay.
поставлені, відповіді ми
Then
отримали.
all the questions have been asked. We have received answers. You've got an opportunity to address HQCJ and PCIe members in order to state whichever you feel necessary to.
Приділений час та увагу.
Thank you for your time and attention. Thank you for your participation in this interview. Stay well. The interview is completed.